Our first month in business, we made $4,927. I remember that number exactly because I pulled the report and stared at it. We had opened inside a tattoo shop, we had no sign out front, we had no marketing budget, and my brother and I had just bet everything on this working. And $4,927 meant it was working. By month 5, we crossed 10,000 and we hadn't gone below that since. In 2025, our clinic did over $270,000 in revenue, cash-based, no insurance, 2 people who had never owned a clinic before figured it out as we went. This video is the full story, what we built, how we built it, every mistake we made, and what actually drove the growth. I'm not leaving anything out. So if you're a nurse practitioner, a registered nurse, or a PA who has been thinking about opening your own clinic, this is a video I wish existed when we were starting. Let's get into it. My name is Traven Tucker. I'm the co-founder of PUUR Health and Wellness, a wellness clinic here in Houston, Texas. I'm also the founder of ClinicianCEO, where I help clinicians launch their own wellness clinics. Before I opened a clinic, I was a healthcare consultant. I spent 6 years working with large hospital systems and physician groups across the country, helping them improve their revenue and their operations. I was making 6 figures, I had a stable career. By most measures, I was doing pretty well. My brother Mike is a nurse practitioner now, but when we opened PUUR, he was a registered nurse. He was working at a testosterone clinic in Houston after years of working in the ER, seeing firsthand what a cash-based wellness practice looked like from the inside. He'd come home and tell me about the patients, the revenue model, how straightforward the services were, and how much the clinic was making. We'd been talking for a while about whether we could do something like that ourselves. The thing that actually pushed us though was a conversation Mike had at a barbershop. He'd been getting his hair cut at Infamous, a tattoo and barbershop here in Houston. He knew the owner and had been going there for years. One day he's in there and the owner mentions that he just acquired a space next door in one of his other shops that had a separate side of a building with its own entrance, a lobby area, and 7 rentable rooms in the back. He was planning to use it for some kind of medical tattoo concept, but hadn't fully figured it out yet. Mike called me that day. We talked it through and we decided that if we were ever going to do this, this was the moment. We didn't need to wait until we had everything figured out. We had the opportunity, we had each other, and we had just enough savings to make it work without going to serious debt. We opened PUUR Health and Wellness in August of 2023. The setup was this. We rented the lobby area on the inside of that second wing of the building, plus 2 treatment rooms in the back, plus access to a bathroom. We put a decal on the door with our name. We didn't have a big sign. People walking by from the main tattoo side would pass through the lobby on their way back to their rooms, so we had some foot traffic. But we did everything ourselves. I built the website, Mike handled a lot of the clinical setup, I did the SEO, we set up our own EMR system, which is Jane, the one you can see on the screen if you look at the reports I'll be sharing in this video. We sourced our own vendors, we drafted our own documents, had a healthcare attorney draft our MSO agreement, we applied for our business accounts, our EIN, our LLC. We had no one guiding us. Every decision was research, trial, and our own judgment. We launched with providing IV therapy, GLP-1 weight loss with Semaglutide, lipostat injections, vitamin injections like B12, immunity, and biotin, and lastly, Botox, lip filler, and labs. That was the menu on day 1. The total setup cost us right around $20,000, a bit under, and it all was financed with a business credit card with minimal savings to support the chance we were taking. And a significant chunk of that money didn't even have to be spent, but we found that out the hard way. Now for the mistakes. I want to spend real time here because this is a part of these stories that usually get skipped. Everyone wants to talk about the revenue. Nobody wants to talk about the $2,000 they lost to a FedEx truck. And that brings us to mistake number 1, the Semaglutide delivery disaster. Before we even opened, we had friends and family asking us about weight loss injections. So we placed an order for 5 vials of Semaglutide with our compounding pharmacy to make sure we had the inventory. Now, here's what we didn't think through. Semaglutide has to be kept cold, right? So compounding pharmacies ship it via FedEx Priority overnight, which means it arrives between 9 and 10 in the morning. Our clinic hours were 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. So we kept missing the delivery. The driver would come, nobody was there, the medication would go right back on the truck in late July in Houston, Texas, where it's over 100 degrees outside. The medication sat on that truck in the heat for hours while we waited for it to come back the next day. This happened for multiple days too. And to make it worse, the driver wasn't even pulling into the parking lot because no other business in the shopping center opened that early. The driver didn't even bother to check. So even when we sat outside waiting in the parking lot, we'd miss it. We ultimately lost about $2,000 worth of medication. The lesson was 2 things. Test your vendors with 1 vial before you place a large order. And Think through your business hours in the context of your delivery requirements before you place that order. We called the pharmacy, explained the situation, and had them switch our account to standard overnight shipping, which delivered closer to noon or 1 p.m. when we were open. So problem solved, but it cost us $2,000 to figure out. Mistake number 2, the clinic name. We launched this PUUR drip. The problem showed up almost immediately. People thought all we did was IV drips. We were doing weight loss, hormone therapy, aesthetics, labs, a full wellness menu by that time, and the name was telling people we were an IV bar. 8 months in, we rebranded to PUUR Health and Wellness. The rebrand cost us about $600 and a ton of time. I'm talking new domain, transferring the website and the SEO we built up on the old domain, new decals, new email addresses, updating our name across every vendor account we had. But the good news is patients didn't respond negatively. Once the name reflected what we actually did, the confusion stopped. But we lost 8 months of building brand recognition under a name that wasn't working for us. When you're naming your clinic, think about every service you want to offer in the next 3 years, not just what you're launching with. Mistake number 3, the first medical director interview. Finding a medical director was one of the things I was most anxious about going in. So when we finally got set up on an interview, I had high hopes, but the physician spent most of the conversation telling us our business wouldn't work, that it wasn't gonna be profitable, that the economy wasn't gonna support it. He wasn't just being skeptical, he was being downright discouraging. That conversation took a lot of wind out of our sails. We sat with it for a day or two, but we ultimately decided to keep interviewing. Now, the next physician we found was a great fit. He was based in Louisiana, but had a Texas license and had been representing clinics across multiple states. He understood the MSO arrangement, he understood our services, and worked with us for a very long time. He eventually had to step back though. He'd been representing a clinic in Colorado while not physically residing there, which Colorado's medical board flagged. A complaint was filed and he had to distance himself from any clinic relationship while that process played out. Here's where the lesson comes in though. Because we had a real medical director agreement with a 30-day notice clause, before termination, we had a window. We used that window in the network we'd built up to actually get another medical director. That termination clause saved us. If we had a handshake agreement or something informal, we could have been left without a medical director overnight, which in Texas, where you need that relationship for a clinic to operate legally, would have been a serious problem. So get the agreement in writing, make sure it includes adequate notice before termination. That's a non-negotiable. Let's talk about the early growth of our clinic. Month 1, $4,927. I want to show you that number because it's real. That's not a rounded figure. That's what the EMR report shows for August 2023. 5,077 invoice, 4,927 collected after adjustments. Every month after that, we went up. Month 2, we went up. Month 3, more. It wasn't massive jumps. It was $1,000 to $2,000 per month of consistent growth, which sounds small until you're 8 months in and you realize you've been building something that compounds. Month 5, we crossed $10,000 for the first time. That was the month I stopped wondering, is this gonna work? Because the trajectory wasn't random. It was consistent, and consistency in a cash-based clinic with recurring services, people coming back every month for their weight loss injections, their hormone therapy, means the revenue floor keeps rising. By the end of our first year, we had done over $167,000 in total revenue. We did that cash-based, no insurance billing, no credentialing nightmares, no 60 to 90 days waiting on an insurer to pay you. Patients paid at the time of service. This is the part I think every NP, RN, and PA watching this needs to hear, because it changed how I think about which services to prioritize when you're building a wellness clinic. Here's our 2025 revenue breakdown. These are the real numbers from our system. So weight loss, $194,112. That's 71% of our total revenue. IV therapy, $41,404, 15.2%, and hormone therapy, $23,984, 8.8%. Labs and other services make up the rest. We launched thinking IV therapy was gonna be our anchor service. We've seen how popular IV drip lounges were getting. That's why we named the clinic PUUR Drip. What actually happened though is GLP-1 medications took over the market. Things like Semaglutide and tirzepatide really became popular. Now we do both. We added phentermine as well and built out a real weight management program. And that single category now generates almost 3/4 of our revenue. This matters for you because the weight loss space is still growing. The demand for medically supervised GLP-1 programs is not slowing down at all. The patients are there. The revenue per patient is there too. $200 to $400 per visit recurring monthly is significant. And as a nurse practitioner, you can prescribe these medications under your existing license with no additional certifications required. And registered nurses can provide the same with a good faith exam vendor in place. So if you're thinking about what services to anchor your clinic around, I would look hard at what that revenue breakdown is telling you. Now, I'm not saying this is the only way. The key thing here is that we marketed weight loss with real intent. You have multiple services, but you'll want to choose one to put your marketing efforts behind. If I could go back to August 2023 and hand myself a document, here's what would be in it. Start with a small vendor test order. Do not place a bulk order until you've confirmed the delivery logistics for your specific setup and hours. Name your clinic for where you're going, not where you're starting. Know your state laws. Do you need a medical director? If so, get a medical director agreement created. Include a termination notice clause. Do not operate on a handshake. Set up your Google business profile and do search engine optimization on your website. Google business profiles are free and both bill your local search authority immediately. Some of our earliest organic patient acquisition came directly from Google. Know your state corporate practice of medicine laws before you structure your entity. In Texas, the MSO structure isn't optional. It's the legal framework that allows non-physicians to own and operate a medical clinic. If you set this up wrong early, unwinding it is expensive and disruptive. And understand that the first month is not the whole story. $4,927 felt small in August of 2023. What it actually was proof that people would pay for these services from us in a space we built ourselves. Everything after that was execution. I made this video because when we were building PUUR, there was no one who actually had done it sitting down and walking us through it. No one who could tell us what the first month would look like, what the vendor pitfalls were, what the medical director process actually involved. We paid for that with time, money, and stress that we did not have to spend. And that's what ClinicianCEO exists to solve. If you're an NP, an RN, or a PA who is serious about opening your own wellness clinic, whether that's telehealth, mobile, or in person, I work with clinicians one-on-one to build the whole thing. I'm talking compliance structure, the entity setup, the medical director, the EMR, the website, the vendor relationships, the clinical documentation, all of it. And if your clinic isn't launched in 90 days, I keep working with you until it is. The link to book a strategy call is below in the description. That call is free. It's with me directly. You'll walk away with a clear picture of what your specific clinic build looks like, whether we work together or not. So if you found this useful, subscribe. I'm gonna keep making videos just like this one, with real numbers, real mistakes, real specifics, because that's what I wish existed when I was starting. I'll see you in the next one.